Are you looking for a larger electric car? Today I'm going to show you around this Volkswagen ID.7 Tourer. We're going to take it for a drive, show you around and see what you think. We're going to start by looking at the front of the car. The comparison is this is the electric version of the Passat, but in my opinion it's much sportier and looks a lot more sleek. As we look at the front, it's a little bit lower than the Passat and I really like the way the edges go along. The light goes all the way along, looks sick in the dark. Both Volkswagen logos on the front and the back light up. So you've got the sensors on the front, as well as the traffic assist system and the driver fatigue technology. One keeps an equal distance between you and the car in front when you're on the motorway, and the other one checks your lenses to make sure you're not falling asleep whilst driving. Some really cool technology. As we work our way around the car, there's lots of sharp edges, makes it look really, really sporty. Everything about the car is black. The only bit that is not are these silver streaks that run through there. As you come around the car, you'll be able to see the car is extremely long. Okay, so it is in fact longer than the Passat. Once we get into the interior, you'll be able to see the amazing legroom we've got, but it is a very long car. We got this model with 19-inch alloys. You can get up to 20-inch. We've done it for a bit more comfort and quietness on the road. As we work along the vehicle, down at the bottom again, we've got some nice sporty edges, and our handles are nice and smooth. They do not stick out at all. Nice and easy open and close. All of the doors when they shut make a lovely noise. If anything, sometimes you shut them too lightly because it always sounds the same. If we look at the back of the car and specifically the back door, the size of it highlights how much leg room you're going to have in the car, and in the back there is plenty. On the back right of the car is your electric charge point, and I wanted to spend a moment to show you this because on my Mac E I have at home, the charge port isn't half as convenient. So one little thing is, rather than come out, it goes up. And then once you plug in, you can also keep it pretty low. So when it's charging, it stops all the water and crap getting in there. I know with previous electric cars, stick the car on charge overnight, wake up, and there's water everywhere. So really convenient, well thought out by Volkswagen. And as we come around the back, you can look at the car, it looks really sleek, really sporty. All the way along the back, this is one big light like we discussed earlier. The back window is quite small, so when we go inside later, you'll see the headroom's a little bit limited from it, but that's what helps give this sportier, smaller back end. The first interior feature we're going to look at is the boot, and that's a big selling point. As we open up the boot, one touch, nice tailgate. As you come in the boot, it is huge. I keep the boot a little bit lower. You can bring this up and make it nice and flat. But the boot itself has 545 litres of space with the seats as they are. If we knock those seats down, then you've got 1,714 litres. So that really is a massive bonus to this car. As we get in the back, this is massive. I'm under 6 foot, I have to admit, but the space between my knees and the next seat in front is humongous. I didn't realise until our screaming baby was in the back, and I got in the back to help us whilst we were driving. And it's incredible in it. You've got heated seats in the back, air conditioning, all of your LED lighting along the door, and all the touches on the door are all nice and soft like they are around the whole car. The back is a really comfortable place to be, whether you're an adult or a child. So whether this is meant to be a family car or you plan on taking adults on long journeys, everybody's going to be happy in the back and have plenty of space. Where the car is specifically designed to be an electric car, it gives us a nice flat floor along the bottom. So for the person that is sat in the middle, they've got space to put their feet and be a lot more comfortable. As we get in the front of the car, this is my favourite bit of the car, and Volkswagen have done a great job. It's a massive difference compared to the Volkswagen ID.3 that I had previously, and I really like it. All around the car, everything you touch is a nice soft touch, no cheap materials. We've got the LED lighting that follows throughout the whole car, and this is 2 colours. So at the moment it's just on blue and we're in the sun, so you can't see very much, but you can have 2 different colours, all controllable through your huge 15-inch display. You've also got your percentage, your speed on a small display directly in front of you, as well as a front-up display that you can see whilst you're driving. One annoying thing about the Volkswagen is how we control the windows. So we've got 2 buttons on the side, but this is to control 4 windows. So currently if I was to press this button, it will put down the front window. If I want to put down a rear window, push the rear button, and then I have control of our rear windows. But you have to make sure to press it again for it to go back to the front windows. So there may be times you put your back window down rather than your front that disturbs your sleeping baby. The front of the car works really well, and there is a massive screen, but I think it fits the car really well, and I love it in landscape compared to the portrait like my Mustang Mach-E. The steering wheel itself has nice soft touches, much nicer than my ID.3. And on the front section here, these are all touchscreen, which if you push them, you get a little bit of response from them, but you've also got a sliding scale. So the volume slides up, slides down. I've seen a lot of negative feedback online about this touchscreen look in the new Volkswagen IDs, but for me, I really like it. I think it works really well. It goes with the sleekness of the car. In the middle, we've got a huge 15-inch screen, and everything is controlled through the screen. So on the bottom, we have got the temperature gauge for either side of the car. And again, it's touchscreen, so you can touch to change the temperature, or you can slide to be faster. I like this part of the car. I think it's a great little touch, but a lot of people just want physical dials. The only thing I would say that is annoying for me about the air conditioning and climate control is past temperature and automatic aircon, you then need to come into the climate control, and this is where it gets a lot more complicated. You've got a lot of buttons, a lot of things changing, and when you're driving, you probably don't want to be messing around with this. So it's phenomenal what it does, and it does a lot, but some people just want it in front of them, and I can understand that. You've got your Apple CarPlay, which looks phenomenal on this massive screen, and Maps is obviously going to always be huge. The car itself's got a few different functions that you can use, and some that are pretty cool. You've obviously got your radio, you've got telephone if you don't want to use CarPlay. You've got stationary aircon, which is something, if you live in England, is phenomenal. So on this, I can set the car to be a certain temperature by a certain time each day. So for example, on those cold winter mornings, I can have it that Monday to Friday when I go to work, the inside of this car is 22 degrees by 7 AM. And then when I come out, the car is nice and hot, ready for me to drive. So that's one thing that I really like about the car. Some other things you can do through your screen is, as mentioned earlier, you've got the 2 color tone effect. So this is for all of our LED lighting that goes around the car, and you can pick anything you want. Once we come into the seat section, this is my personal favorite. So for the seat itself, both for the driver and the passenger, you can pick your massage that you want the car to do from a range of different massages. You can pick your massage, your intensity, your duration you want it to do, and then it will start massaging you and the passenger whilst you are driving. A great feature for those long drives. One function you can control through the touchscreen that's really important, and you've got like a fast track mechanism here, is to get into your driver assistant things. So that will include your lane assist all the way down, and you have the ability to turn them on and off. The biggest one, which is really annoying, is the speed warning. So every time you get in the car, I have to turn this one off because it just beeps whenever you go over the speed limit that is recommended. And that does make me sound really bad, but if you live in the countryside, there's no one on the road and it's a 20 and your car's beeping at you when you're doing 22 miles an hour, that's really annoying. As soon as you turn the car off and you get back in, all of them are turned on. So if you don't like lane assist, for example, and you want to turn that off, you have to do it every time you get in the car. But it's not too bad. You'll get in the car, your car will look like this. You'll just press that one there and you press it once. Along the bottom of the screen, you've got the really important things that you can see, like we touched on as far as temperature, but you've also got your heated seats with standard as 3 different levels. When we come over onto the steering wheel, we also control the heated steering wheel from here. And one little function that I really like in this car is the heated steering wheel also has 3 different levels of heat. So I'm someone that I like a bit of the heated steering wheel, but then I think it gets too much, same as the seats. And it's nice that I can turn it down to level 1 rather than having really, really hot. I didn't know it when I got the car. I pushed the button again, thinking I'd turned it off, and it was on level 2, and I wondered why my steering wheel was still hot. Now we're gonna look at the middle center console of the car. So the center console itself is quite chunky, but it gives you loads of storage. I like the fact that it shuts up. When it's shut, it looks nice and sleek and professional. But when you open it up, loads and loads of storage. You've got 2 big spaces here for your cup holders, which fit most size bottles, fit your Stanley cups, fit it all. We've got a nice big section down the front, which has got your wireless charger, and you've got 2 USB-Cs. The section that comes up the side is quite nice, whether that's longer objects, you want to stick your phone down the side, but it's a really flexible space, and you can shut it back so it looks nice and tidy. And behind that, we've got this massive bit under the armrest. So one, it creates a lovely thick armrest. You push the button, the sides come up, and you've got a huge compartment here to store your stuff. One cool thing they have added on the ID.7 for busy families is there is a button on the driver's door that I can pull and it opens up the boot fully. Really helpful on busy family days. Another feature we've got on the ID.7 is you can preset your seat positions. So if you're somebody that hates getting in the car after your partner or your friend and having to readjust the seats, you can set your conditions within the seat to a number, you push that number and the seat is exactly how you want it. Right, let's go for a drive. So when I'm driving this car, as touched on earlier in the video, our other car at home is a Ford Mustang Mach-E GT with an outrageous amount of horsepower. So some of my comparisons will be in comparison to that, so just bear that in mind as we go through. In terms of the drive, I love the drive of this car. It's not as fast as the Mustang, obviously, but in terms of comfort, in terms of how quiet the car is, it's incredible. You can't hear the road, you can hit bumps pretty hard. And barely hear them as well. And all the little things are nice about the car. The indicators sound nice, the doors sound nice. It's just a really good, well put together car. One thing I would say is I don't think the brakes are as good as they could be. If you're coming up to a junction and you potentially have misjudged it a little bit, then make sure you give yourself enough distance. I think the brakes could be sharper, but again, the other car that I drive has supersonic brakes. In terms of speed, this particular model has got 282 brake horsepower and it's surprisingly quick. It doesn't give you as much of that sense of put you back in your seat in comparison to some other electric cars. If you're going to compare it to your petrols and diesels, of course it does. But in terms of acceleration at all different speeds, it does a really good job. So some other electric cars, once you're going 50 miles an hour, really struggle to get going. As I find with this model that if you're on the dual carriageway, you can quite easily accelerate and overtake other cars. There's a ton of technology built in the car and 95% of it I really enjoy in terms of warning lights, in terms of keeping you an appropriate distance in front of the next car. It's got 360 cameras, so with the cameras and the sensors, you would think it's impossible to crash it, but I challenge any of you to spot we've actually damaged the rear bumper. My partner managed to reverse it and hit something on the driveway, even though it's got 360 cameras and sensors all around. They're really easy to use as well. They don't over exaggerate how close or far away you are from something. I think they're really well put into perspective and really easy to use. In the past with some cameras and sensors, they become annoying. On this car, I don't think they're annoying. I think they're really useful. This particular model's range on paper says 385 miles. Anyone who's owned an electric car will know it's near on impossible to hit those numbers. We're currently now, after today's review video, we're at 86% and it says we've got 238 miles. You don't need to be a math genius to figure out that trying to get to that range with an extra 14% doesn't add up. So the range is great. It's the longest range I've kind of had on an electric car, but some of the ranges that are listed are ambitious. And I know I've had a few conversations with my dad about him getting an electric car. Someone like himself would get very frustrated. In terms of how it goes around bends and things of that nature, for an estate car it does really well. I've never driven or never owned an electric estate car before, but I've owned a few of the Skoda Octavia estates, and this definitely goes around bends and changes direction a lot easier and a lot smoother. You can go into a bend quite aggressively and feel comfortable you're going to get out of it without spinning out or being concerned. Earlier in the video we showed you that the alloys on this particular model are not the biggest ones they have, and how much that plays towards such a low level of road noise I'm not too sure. I haven't driven the model with the bigger alloys, but the road noise in this car is nearly zero. It's phenomenal, and that's definitely something that I've not had in some of my other electric cars. The ID.3 was good, but the Mustang's road noise is very loud. And another thing as well is the car doesn't feel heavy. Obviously electric cars are really heavy. When driving this car it feels really light, and I said a similar thing about the ID.3 and my partner said the same, that it feels like you're driving in the clouds. And bearing in mind how long this car is, how much this car weighs, that's quite a remarkable statement to make. But there's a number of different ways you can drive the car. So you've got comfort, individual and sport. So depending on how you want to drive the car, how you want it to feel, then you're able to select that and change the suspension. Me personally, we leave it majority of the time in comfort, as that is our primary aim, especially with a 6-month-old in the back. The car itself charges pretty fast as well, so on your fast charger that you might be able to find in a McDonald's car park, you can go from 10 to 80% in 25 minutes. Back home, obviously on your home charger, it's going to take a lot longer, but I've never had a trouble at home. If I plug it in, overnight, when I go down in the morning, it's always 100%. The car is a rear-wheel drive, so all models rear-wheel drive, and I think that really adds to how the car accelerates, how it handles, and the feel behind the car. There are 3 different models of the car. You've got the Pro, the Pro S, and the GTX model. The Pro and Pro S have 282 brake horsepower and 402 pounds of torque, and have rear-wheel drive. The GTX model has dual motors, delivering a combined 335 brake horsepower and 413 pound of torque, providing a 4-wheel drive. The Pro and Pro S can accelerate from 0 to 62 in 6.6 seconds. The GTX, with its additional horsepower, can go from 0 to 62 in 5.5 seconds. All variants have the same top speed of 112 miles per hour. The range on the Pro model is 373 miles. On the Pro S model can be up to 424 miles, and on the GTX model up to 359 miles. Volkswagen Travel Assist is one of the best adaptive cruise control systems out there. It keeps you centered in your lane and even changes lanes automatically. It comes with the latest safety tech, including autonomous emergency braking, blind spot monitoring, 360-degree cameras and parking assist, adaptive cruise and lane assist. So I hope you enjoyed the review of the ID.7. Entry-level models start at around 50,000. For higher spec, you'll be looking closer to 60,000. In my opinion, for its price point in the market, I think it's a great choice. Let me know in the comments what you think and if you've got any more questions.